Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. This is Instant Movie Reviews with Raina and Drew. I'm Drew.
I'm Raina, and we've had a time change, so now it's really dark out.
Yeah, say goodbye to the sun in our videos for a little bit, but it's suitable for the movie that we are going to be seeing it in the dark. What are we going to today?
We are lucky enough to have fit in very last minute Frankenstein, Guillermo del Toro's Netflix special. It's best seen on the big screen is what I've heard. However, it's got a very limited release. It's been really difficult for us to schedule it because the timings weren't great, and it's only in certain theaters. And it is coming out on Netflix in like a week, I think. But just from reading all the reviews and the comments I'm seeing on the internet, I think us seeing it in theater is the right choice.
I think it's the right choice as well, even though this is going to be punishing on our bladders because this movie is like 2 hours and 30 minutes, but we'll make it work.
I haven't heard a single complaint about the length, and that has really got me interested because I remember Poor Things was quite long as well, and it was very enjoyable.
Yeah, it didn't feel long to me when we saw it.
Have you seen the trailer for this?
I actually have not.
Oh, you haven't seen
going
the trailer?
In as blind as possible, yeah.
So I'm a huge fan of Guillermo. I love pretty much everything he's made. I think he does a fantastic job at taking classics and making them his own. He did that with Pinocchio, and it was really beautiful. And then he's also been so good at making his own fairy tales, and also Gothic fairy tales. So like Crimson Peak and
Pan's Labyrinth,
Shape of Water. He always works with a lot of the same people, so he gets a lot of consistent results. And I did see a traveling show for the special effects and costumes that was online, and kind of just showing some of the props and the costuming and everything. He puts detail into everything. And I really love the cast. We have Mia Goth again.
Mia Goth, I love Mia Goth. Although this will be the first non-Maxine, non-Pearl role that I'll ever be seeing her in. So hopefully it still carries over the quality.
Oscar Isaac, Jacob Elordi, who has won me over with many things he's been doing. I wasn't a huge fan of Saltburn, but he was the best part of it. So I'm just really excited to see it. And I understand that it does stay very true to the source material while also making it his own, because there's a lot of things that are open to interpretation, and I like that about this. I know I did see people kind of complaining, looking at the trailer, being like, "Oh, the monster looks too good." But I recently read Frankenstein, and when you read it, like Frankenstein chose all of the pieces of the body, the corpses, to make his monster because they were attractive. Like, he chose attractive pieces of people.
If you're going to create somebody, why not make them hot?
The tagline of this book was like the modern day Prometheus or something like that, right? So that's what I'm thinking of. And it's funny because he kind of looks like White Vision in some of the trailers. White Vision, or he does look like one of those white guys from the Prometheus. I don't think that was on purpose, but I think it's a funny, happy mistake. So anyway, we're gonna head in to go see it. I'm really excited, and we will let you know our take on it very soon.
We'll see you in a minute.
Wow, that was like 2.5 hours.
Yeah, it didn't, and again, it didn't really feel like it. I was worried going into that it would feel like more of a by the end.
It didn't feel, I think it's about the same amount of time as Nosferatu was, and it didn't feel as long as Nosferatu for me.
I didn't love Nosferatu. I know that I'm weird and was like this acclaimed horror film, but I didn't love Nosferatu.
I enjoyed it, but I don't think you're in the minority there. I think a lot of people found it. Yeah, I think a lot of people found it kind of dry and long.
Well, I would say that I enjoyed that.
Yeah, I liked it more than Nosferatu, which I did enjoy Nosferatu, but similar themes, this Gothic horror thing.
Yeah. Although I wouldn't necessarily call it a horror film. There's certainly some violent imagery and some horrific aspects to it, but it almost feels more like a Gothic tragedy, you know?
Yeah, it's very... Mary Shelley was incredibly smart, both like for her age, and she was what we would probably call emo nowadays. Her husband died young, and she carried his petrified heart around with her. Like, she was hardcore.
That's goth. That's goth AF.
And I'm pretty sure that this is the first sci-fi book, science fiction book that was ever written. And like, it leaned into Gothic horror, which I think she's also considered like one of the founding mothers of, I guess we would say. We wouldn't say founding fathers, but like one of the people who basically founded the genre. But I'm pretty sure this is the first sci-fi book that was ever written.
And I find it so interesting, like, if she's considered the sort of one of the creators of the horror genre, a genre that's gone on to have some, let's face it, some misogynistic aspects to the way that it treats its female characters sometimes. It's just interesting that this woman in that era could come up with something like that.
Yeah, I found it to be a really good homage to the book, to the various interpretations of Frankenstein over the years. I saw there were some nods to some of the different films in there that were done beautifully, and all of it was wrapped in that like gorgeous sets and costumes and background music. There was one particularly morbid part, and I turned to Drew and I was like, he's playing Disney music basically for this. Like it was like do 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 do, like you imagine like Snow White singing to the birds and we're like sawing a leg.
Yeah, so there, as I said, there's definitely some on-screen violence. Trigger warning, there's some violence to animals as well, which was a little more graphic than I expected it to be. But again, it's not like anyone's pet or anything. But if you're sensitive to that, it might be a bit much.
Yeah, it feeds into a lot of OG fairy tale tropes. So, like, I took a course on literature in university, and we looked at the things that defined fairy tales, like the original fairy tales, like Grimm fairy tales, and wolves, ravens, lightning, like different things like that are happening, dead mother, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Those are like really common elements of original fairy tales. And so there's a lot of that. And when you look at Guillermo del Toro's body of work, that is very common theme throughout it. He kind of makes every story that he does is some sort of a dark fairy tale. Whether it's like this dark tragic tale like Frankenstein, or this kind of whimsical weird tale like Pinocchio, or like my personal favorite, The Shape of Water, Crimson Peak, all these other ones. And death is like a theme throughout, like the exploration of death is a theme throughout many of his films, and this is no different. And then also for all the folks who are gamers out there, if you play Death Stranding and you recall the character of Tomorrow, and she's encased in like a coffin, that coffin is the design of the coffin in these films. And when they first show it, and it's not a super spoiler to give it away because it's in the trailer, but when they first show a person in this coffin, the first thing I thought of was like, oh my gosh, this is such an Easter egg for the game, because it looks like it could have come right out of this game.
See, I thought Abracadabra by Lady Gaga when I saw that coffin.
Yeah, the red.
So let's take a moment. Oscar Isaac. Wow, like I've never read the book, and I've honestly never really engaged with Frankenstein as a media thing before. I didn't realize just how hateable the aspects of his character were, and I was really impressed with Oscar Isaac's ability to sell that while still not making you disengage from his character or his fate completely.
That's such a great way to put it. He's a very narcissistic character, and in the beginning, like dealing with any narcissist, you are caught up in his charm. Like you're excited for him, you do find him interesting and compelling, and he seems very smart. And very quickly, you realize he's arrogant, he's selfish, he only cares about himself. And once he gets what he wants, he's discarding, like typical narcissist discard, like, okay, I got it, I'm done with you now, kind of thing.
Which is kind of funny. A narcissist wants all the glory on themselves, but it's funny, Frankenstein, the name Frankenstein, as I was saying, we were walking out, has become synonymous with the monster, even though that's not the monster's name. How funny is it that a narcissist like that is not remembered by his own name? His name is remembered for his creation, which I find kind of interesting.
Jacob Elordi was phenomenal.
Oh,
what a tall man. What a tall man.
Well, it kind of reminded of, how there's this one guy, Doug Jones, I think is his name, really tall, really thin guy.
Yeah, I'm friends with Doug.
the pale man in Pan's Labyrinth.
He was the fish man in The Shape of Water.
I know. So he has that body type, and I find it interesting that for this, they went with someone like Jacob Elordi, who's like a heartthrob, and everyone, so many people are in love with him after Saltburn, but he's so grotesque in this movie, and his acting was not what I expected. I actually haven't seen Jacob Elordi in anything. I just kind of judged him as a pretty boy.
No, he was a chameleon.
He's so good in this, going from the beginning of Frankenstein as being this non-verbal, very guttural, very monstrous creature, to this more eloquent, well-spoken, I don't want to say well-dressed, but but
even in the beginning, he's very childlike, and Jacob did a lot of emoting, which is when you're not verbalizing, but you're acting with your body movements and you're trying to convey the story with your body, which I've had to do when I've done short films as the mermaid. I did a short film where I wasn't speaking as a mermaid. I had whatever mermaid language. And in order to communicate with the people in the film,
Yeah.
I was very like, it was a lot of this, you know, like, ooh, like,
He makes you instantly feel like sympathetic and like protective towards them, which is funny because Frankenstein is known as like this classic movie monster.
Yeah.
But there's so much humanity in him that by the end of it, I just was like, wow, this is a really surprising performance from an actor that I didn't expect it from.
The actor is giant too, so when he gets scared and everything, you actually buy it.
Yeah.
Like you take like it's very like that's how good he is. I loved Mia Goth. I loved her character. The way she looked was beautiful. She plays two characters in this. And it may not be obvious to you unless you know that going in, because it would not have been obvious to me if I hadn't known that going in. And I actually think it's a genius idea.
Well, Mia Goth has never played two characters in one movie before, ever.
I think it's genius having her play both characters. And she steals the scenes that she's in. She's very beautiful. She's very eloquent. Her costumes are gorgeous. She carries herself with a grace that I felt was really good with the character.
Like, so very different characters, I'll say plural, although one of her characters is much more of a focus of the movie, but very different than Maxine or Pearl, which is basically what I know her from Ty West's X trilogy. But there's still like, even though the character she's not playing, the character she's playing is not Pearl, there's still that kind of off-kilter weirdness to her that I think is just who Mia Goth actually is. But she's a very interesting presence, and I'm again just very impressed with her in this.
There was the captain from the book is in the film, and he is played by Mads Mikkelsen's older brother, and it was driving me nuts because he's got a beard, so I knew that I knew who he was, but I couldn't place him until the credits rolled, and it was driving me nuts watching him, and I'm like, what do I know this man from? What do I know this man from? He looks so familiar, and I was like, oh, it's Hannibal's big brother. So like that.
Christoph Waltz.
Christoph Waltz is great in everything he does. He also has worked with Guillermo a few times. He was in the Pinocchio film.
Oh, was he?
The character who is the blind gentleman in this, I don't even know if they gave him a name. He was just Grandpa in this. He was Geppetto in Pinocchio, and other folks would know him as being the custodian from Harry Potter films. So he's also in a lot of stuff. Oh, and I think he was in Game of Thrones. I think he may have been Walder Frey. I think he was Walder Frey in Game of Thrones. Have to look it up. But he's in a lot of stuff, and I really liked seeing him in this gentle role as well, because in other roles I've seen him in, he's the violent guy or whatever. Geppetto, when he played Geppetto, that was the first time I saw him as kind of a hero character, and he's kind of a hero character in this too, in a way. So I really liked that.
Yeah, I really liked his performance. Again, just the way that people spoke in this movie, like the dialogue is very like, again, it's kind of like a gothic opera. Everything is heightened. You don't really buy it as like real characters saying these words to each other. It's not like a grounded, realistic portrayal. But again, it's about a monster created by composited dead people parts. So it doesn't have to be realistic.
It kind of reminds you, it's not quite Shakespearean, but the way the dialogue is does kind of remind you of that type of writing, because it is a little bit like flourish. It's a flourish. And
again, it's just part of that overall very gothic feel, I found.
For me, this was very satisfactory because I kind of know what I want when I see a Guillermo film. Like, I know what I want. I know what his strengths are. And I got exactly what I wanted out of this film. There's always ways a film can be better or whatever. But in terms of what I was expecting from him, it hit the mark. It hit the mark beautifully. And I think that people who are fans of his work are just going to love this. It's not going to be one of these like, oh, well, I like the others, but this one was different for me.
Yeah, and it was so beautifully shot. Again, like, I appreciate that Netflix is the company behind this. So, of course, they want to make it mainly a streaming thing. But watching that, I was like, why in the world would you make the primary way that you're going to make this movie viewable is on a streaming service on a small screen just at home? Like, I just, again, like, that needs to be seen on the big screen, and I feel like Netflix needs to give its movies a bigger release theatrically. The same thing with Glass Onion. That was so much more effective on the big screen than on the small screen. But
and I do wonder if he has a contract with them, because he did Pinocchio and then he did these series of short stories that was turned into a Netflix
It could
thing.
be like Rian Johnson with the Knives Out
Yeah,
stories.
and then he did this. So I wonder if he's got some kind of a contract, and for him, he's like, I just want to make my stuff, so I'm going to do what I can. I'm pretty sure he did Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark that we saw.
I think he just produced it.
He just produced it?
I just looked at his filmography when he came out, and yeah, I didn't see that on the list. But what would you give it as somebody with more familiarity with the Frankenstein
Okay,
lore?
so here's the thing. I have the rating. I would give it for my personal what I like, and then a rating what I think is more reflective of just movies in general.
So like what I did with I Know What You Did Last Summer. Not to compare these two movies. But
No. But it is hard for me to give it like a really critical rating because I just genuinely enjoyed it so much. I loved it so much. And when I'm giving you guys these ratings, like they're my real ratings of what I think. And I know when people do YouTube videos and we get into reviews, there is a bit of pressure to be critical or, whatever, and or to be well-rounded and to be like, well, like I can't give it this high because I gave another one this high. For me, for my personal self, it was a 10 out of 10. Like I really, really, I'm happy with it. I would watch it again. It's going to go down as one of my like all-time favorite movies. I really enjoyed it thoroughly. In terms of like the other things we've seen this year, I do think, Drew and I were chatting on the way out. I think there were a couple of little things. I mean, it's hard. It's a 2.5-hour movie. They obviously had to cut some stuff, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But there were some little things I felt got missed from the book that took away from the ending a little bit. And I'm not going to spoil the ending, but I mean, the ending is similar to the book, but it is different. And I think it would have landed just a little bit stronger if some of those themes were put together a little bit more. So for me, it's about, it's around, so for my personal, it's like 10 out of 10. I think in terms of all the other films we've seen all year, it's probably like an 8.5. I think 8.5. I think, Sinners was really strong this year. Bring Her Back, really strong, but very different movies. I can't really compare them all together. They're in their own lane, but miles above other things we've seen this year. Miles above. So personal 10, channel rating about an 8.5. What about you?
For me, it's around an 8. I really enjoyed the experience of watching that movie. I was never bored. I thought it was beautifully shot. I thought that, the acting was really good. I thought that the set design was really good. Jacob Elordi's monster design was excellent. But again, like the way that the movie ends its story, it's weird to say for a 2.5-hour movie, but I felt like they could have done a little bit more to build to that. It was like the characters are in one spot, and then they end in another spot, and I'm kind of like, did I miss how we got to this point of the ending of the movie? So it's just because I felt like there was a part of the ending that didn't feel entirely explored or entirely earned.
They presented it like it was going to be 3 acts.
Yeah.
They presented it like it was going to be 3 acts, and it was kind of like 2 acts and an epilogue. Like that's kind of how they presented
so for me, it's an 8. It was a beautiful film. I'm really glad that we saw it. I'm really glad we saw it on the big screen. But is it going to make my top 10 of the year when I sit down to do it? I don't know. Maybe. We'll see.
It is for me, I think. I really do think. I liked it a lot more than some of the other things that are currently on my top 10 list. That being said, we still have to see Avatar, which I think could go either way. I think it's either going to be really good. The last one had a lot to live up to, and it did it, I think. But now the next one's so close on its heels. I don't know. We'll want to see.
Begonia. We want to see Begonia.
Want to see Begonia. And I really want to see Predator. Now I don't know that that's going to land on my top 10, but I just really want to see it.
I haven't seen any of the Predator movies, but the explicit connection to the Weyland-Yutani Corporation from Alien, and I love the Alien franchise. I definitely am willing to see that and have that be my very first ever Predator movie.
Oh, yeah, cool. Well, I hope it's good because I loved Prey. Prey was phenomenal. But yeah, I mean, I can't remember all the movies off the top of my head, but I made a list for Drew and Ange in a group chat. And I was basically like, well, I mean, here's my tentative top 10, but like, I also haven't seen all these movies and I still want to see them. And there's 2 movies I really wanted to see that we never got in our theaters. I wanted to see Good Boy, which was the horror movie from the dog. And I wanted to see, what was it, Strange Forest or something like that? I can't remember what it was called, but it was this serial killer one, and it's all through body cam footage.
Oh,
Strange Harvest.
Yeah.
And it had all of this, it has all this buzz around it, but you can only buy it. You can't rent it yet online. And I just can't pay like $27 for a movie if I don't know I'm gonna like it.
Yeah, well, you don't even spend that much for a movie ticket. But yeah, there's some other stuff upcoming, and if you like this video, give it a like. give us a subscription. Our subscriptions have kind of stalled. We have more people viewing our videos than are subscribed. So please subscribe. It really does help us, and we're not going to inundate you with videos. So it would really.
No, I'm way too busy to inundate you
Yeah.
with videos. Drew, over Christmas, we're going to get him learning how to do some of the video editing so he can help me and we can maybe get these out faster, because we do often see them early and then I just can't get them out until a week or two later, and that kind of sucks.
You need a childless gay with endless time like me to do it.
Yes. And we hope also, speaking of that, we hope you all had a really great Halloween. This is a good Halloween themed movie, and everyone was safe. And please, if you do have the hype function, maybe consider using a free hype on us.
Free hypes only, please.
Free hypes. It's basically, if you think back to the world of Twitter, it's like a retweet, or like Tumblr, it's like a reshare kind of thing. So we do appreciate that. But in the meantime, we will see you at the movies.
See you at the movies.